I knew how to balance myself. And that is what I call boom, chicka boom energy. Because when you can tap into that, you're on a whole new trajectory. But when we don't understand the beautiful energy of our own divinity and our chakras are blocked, whether it's the root chakra or the crown chakra or the heart chakra or the sacral, when we don't have all of those flowing in a way where divine energy can come through us and we can hear and feel and connect in a way that is powerful for our own soul's blueprint, we're missing where the arrow is pointing us.
If you've outgrown your current path, this is your invitation to step out of the hustle and into your purpose and passion. It can be healing, it can be fun, and it can be strategic. This is where you become the boss goddess in your niche and bring your dreams to life. If you are ready to say yes to redefining what is next for you with podcasting, then I want to invite you to get my Activate Your Passion with Podcast Blueprint. Just go to boss-goddess.co/activate. This is your free 5-day guide where each day I'll send you an email with guidance and a downloadable prompt, exercise, or tool that you can take some action with to begin to get clear on how to pursue what lights you up with the power of podcasting, from how to get started with your topic to how to build your own ecosystem that you can monetize later. Let's redefine what comes next for you so you can step into your goddess era. Just go to boss-goddess.co/activate. So you might not know this, but when I was growing up, I was bullied by my friend circle. So what I mean by pointing that out is that it wasn't from people who didn't take the time to get to know me or because I was the new girl. It did start at my new school and my new neighborhood after we moved when I was 8 years old. But the new girlfriends I had made would pick on me and point out things about me that they thought was weird, like the way I walked, which I still get remarks on to this day. But it wasn't until I was older that it was seen as maybe a good thing rather than an awkward thing, because I have really good posture and I walk very upright and sort of glidey, I guess. And this seemed too proper for being a kid. And I was always made fun of for laughing too much. And I was called a ditz and a slut all the way through to high school. And it was in the 6th grade that this friend group did the ultimate thing where they all decided together that I shouldn't be their friend anymore. And they wrote me this long letter and told me to go read it in the field away from them. So I did, and it felt like the ultimate betrayal to read these hurtful words on paper, thoughtfully written out by those that I cared about most, who had collectively decided that I was no longer worth their friendship out of a sudden, which, looking back, it really wasn't out of a sudden. I just didn't see the signs. But to me, that felt like I just wasn't worth it. And I felt very confused, and my first reaction was to apologize for who I was and to beg them to reconsider. And I suppose I was so pitiful that they eventually did reconsider, and I had friends again by the time we headed into junior high, which for us began with 7th grade. But by the end of 7th grade, it happened again. Only this time, boys were involved. They spread rumors and tried to fabricate this conflict between me and another girl who I didn't even know by making it about her boyfriend somehow. And this time I wasn't as surprised. And the school was big enough that finding new friends wasn't as hard. But then there were acceptance issues again with my new friends too. So I learned to protect myself by making myself smaller, dimming my light, my joyfulness, and my carefree nature, which is why I was called a ditz and a slut. And I just became as less me as I could. And I learned how to people please and mediate and to be quiet in the home. So that carried over pretty easily into the world too, especially when it was being so reinforced as the right move. So since I was being shown that this was the way to stay safe, it seemed to work. And I was also terribly shy as a kid as a result of all this too. So you can add stuck up to the list of names as well. And my identity slowly faded away. And it was at the age of 30 that I finally started to come into awareness about this and begin the long and deep journey of untangling, of coming back into my own essence, my own divinity and femininity, so that I can meet myself in my purpose and create the life I really want to live, which can only happen when we come home to ourselves. And that is what we're talking about today. My guest, Eva Simone, is a high-frequency feminine mentor and coach and helps women connect with and embody their divine feminine. And she is the founder of Embodiment Is Everything. She shares her own story with us about how she went from living under these layers that we've created to keep ourselves safe, but then also keep us in pain and strain, and how she got curious and began to awaken to her feminine power and unlayer, the process of this unlayering once you wake up. So we'll learn how to begin to slow down and invite ourselves back in so that we can embrace and embody the parts of us that maybe we've dimmed, but that actually let us shine and let us find that flow. And when we can step into flow, it opens up all the possibilities. The world is a very hustled place, but we can choose another way to create our abundance and to do business and bring back the lightness and the joy that I know is possible when we come home to ourselves. So let's dive in. All right, welcome, Eva.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here, Christina. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. So I'm laughing because we were just laughing before we started recording. Okay, you also have a podcast, and go ahead and tell us the name of your show.
Yes, I have a podcast that's called Feminine Power, the She-volution podcast, where we're talking about all things feminine, but we're going deeper than just feminine and girly things. We're going deep into the energy of the divine feminine and the beauty of tapping into her.
Okay, that's perfect because we're going to talk about the divine feminine really, really soon. But before we do that, there was someone on your show recently who changed her name. And yes! I love it so much. And I'm laughing from joy, not for any other reason. But tell us what she changed her name to.
Her name, and we need to tag her on this because she was just, her energy just pulled me in. But her name pulled me in. Her name is Kirsten. Get ready. F bomb diggity.
So is it F or is it spelled out?
Her last name is Bomb Diggity. She legally changed it to Bomb Diggity. And then sometimes she puts in that F, the letter F, for F Bomb Diggity. So, because sometimes we say F bombs. And she's
right.
Like, your name. She's like, I've outgrown all of my names, but this one is mine.
That's what she's saying, right? She's owning it.
Oh, she's owned it. Yes.
Yeah.
She owned it so much until I wasn't sure if my name was perfect. Did I change my name too?
Okay, so shout out to Kirsten.
Kirsten Bomb Diggity.
Bomb Diggity.
Yes.
Love that so much because fuck it, right? Like
yes. And you know what? And when she says it, there's so much power behind it. And it makes you, as a person who's listening, go, huh, right. And I could relate to her because I also changed my last name. I legally changed my name.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so my first name is Eva, but my last name is Simone. Eva meaning the first, and Simone means I hear you. So it's Eva who hears you.
Oh my God, yes. I love that. That's beautiful.
But after she said Bomb Diggity, I'm like, I need to go back to the drawing board.
You need a backup, a middle name.
I need a middle name for something else.
So you must have ideas. Yes. What would it be?
For the middle name?
Yeah, for your other name. For your bomb dig name.
I don't know. It might be a phrase. I don't know. I got to think about that a little bit more.
Okay.
Once you sign the legal documents and they do like a background check on you, they do fingerprints and all the things. to make sure that there is only one Eva Simone. Actually, there are many Eva Simones, but they're checking to make sure that you're well. I'm sure with Kirsten, there's only one Kirsten Baum Diggity.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's owning that domain
Yes.
in the most way.
In the most way. She's so cool.
Okay, that is a really fun way to start this conversation about femininity and about owning our power and about the divine feminine. So I want to hear your definition of the divine feminine.
For me, the divine feminine is a connection to your truest, highest self. No BSing, no being small. It's that bigness that every person, and in particular for me, women, tap into. It's this juicy, beautiful energy that's pulsating through all of us. And when we don't recognize that we have an opportunity for something to be with us, opposed to being alone, we miss out on this opportunity to be powerful in our own rights. And for me, when I first tapped into this energy, it was a bit shocking because I'm like, why do I feel this bubbling up inside of me? Why do I feel like there's something walking with me, kind of guiding me, allowing me to feel when things are not right? Why is there something totally feeling different from what's actually going on? And that's when it started to open up for me in a beautiful way.
Oh my gosh.
She's waiting for you.
I love that. Okay, so I want to come back to what you just shared about the moment when you kind of noticed that and tapped in. But first, let's fast backwards. Let's go back.
Rewind.
We're going to rewind a little. Well, for the listener to understand, because I think it's so relatable, what you were doing before, and we'll get into like how you got to that moment, I should say, to what you're doing now, because there's a big difference, and so many of us are living the life that you were before, where we're doing big, quote unquote, big things. You're doing big things now too, but we're scared to do this version, this divine feminine version of big things. So help us know where you started, and then we'll get to that key moment of like experiencing the divine feminine for the first time.
Okay. So I'll take you back many years when I was around 6 years old. When I was 6 years old, I recognized that if I didn't behave in a certain way or show up in a certain way, then I wouldn't be really safe. And more so with my dad. There was a lot of things that were going on with him that was really wrong. Wrong. I grew up in the South, and when you grow up in the South, a lot of people, especially parents, will say kids should be seen and not heard. And I was one of these talkative kids who had a lot to say. I was very expressive. I was even speaking to one of my sisters recently, and I said, do you remember when I was 8 years old? And this is how rambunctious I was. And I think they were just trying to contain it. I was in a church, and I'll get back to the story. They pronounced her name incorrectly. I jumped up and I said, her name is, and I spelled it out loud, and people were saying, sit down, sit down, sit down. But in my heart, I knew how to spell her name. I knew what it said, how it sounded, and I wanted the world to know about it. But that's not always allowed in these small communities, these, little southern towns, that you need to follow the rules and stay within the constraints of what you've been told. So I recognized that I couldn't be a certain way. And if I did, I would be chastised for it or reprimanded, or I would be in trouble. I contained that part and pretty much shut it down. And then years went on, and I was in the workforce, and I didn't realize it, though, that I had this ability to do a lot of things. But I also had the ability to connect with people on a deep level, because that thing that happened to me as a kid, where I became very scared, very protected, I was able to read into people really fast. But that reading into people was to make sure that I was safe. Oh, there goes so-and-so and so. They look a little crazy over there. I know that something is going on, so I know I shouldn't say this. Oh, there's this person. Mm-hmm. So in one way, it was a trauma, and another way, it was my superpower. So I get into the workforce, and I'm doing all the things, and I'm checking off all the boxes. As I said before, I'm one of these people that I can get it done, Christina. You give me 25 things to do on the list. I've done them before you can say my name. Because I knew how to keep the peace and get things done. Well, as time went on, I would do all the things, but I noticed to the world, I look really good. On paper, I look really good. And because I could do so many things, people would say, gosh, she's so strong. And I took so much pride in that. I'm so strong. So I would do things and I'm like, oh, I'm strong. People see me, I'm strong. But in the quiet moments when nobody was watching and nobody was listening, I was suffering, falling apart. My body was hurting. I felt like I was entering a shit show all the time. Like, why do I feel so weak and tired when nobody's looking? But when people were watching, I was like a superwoman. I wouldn't let anybody see me cry. I would compete. I would show up. The money was looking good. Life was looking good. But my soul was suffering. And I didn't know how to take care of the soul and show up in the world in a strong way. So I put on a mask. It was a lie. It wasn't just a lie. It was a goddamn lie for who I was and who I wasn't. When you are a child and you take on these roles as children and you're surviving, you don't realize that you're taking that with you in life. And when you take it with you in life, it just becomes a larger version of the thing that you were surviving in. So I became a larger, grander, beautiful, fake version of me. So that's how it got started.
Yeah. I mean, you said a lot of really important things, but that concept of taking this lesson that so many of us learn at a very young age of survival, it becomes part of our belief system that the world works on that frequency, on that survival frequency. And then we take that with us, right? And we go, okay, I've got the blueprint and this is what I've got to do.
Yes.
Ooh. And the unfolding of realizing that that's an old lesson and a lie. The lesson's the lie, right? I mean, of course, those things are there. We can give them gratitude too, right? Like it was keeping us safe, but those things become outdated and then the upgrade happens, right? Like we start wondering like, this doesn't feel like what life is supposed to be like. It's not supposed to be just survival, right? Like it can't be true. What's the point? Like, why would anyone continue? I mean, I feel that is so relatable. And thank you for sharing that. So I Googled you a little and I believe you were working in the beauty industry before, right? Was that your own business that you were creating?
Yes.
Okay.
Even with that, something felt off. Something didn't feel like home. And during the time when you're making money and money is the leader of the show and money is the CEO, you don't have enough time to figure out, wait, this isn't right. Like, what am I doing? Because now some of us have mortgages or rent or, I don't know, tuition or whatever it is. And then the money is the leader. And you're suffering, but you won't stop. You won't stop but I won't be able to survive. This is what I know. This is what I've been doing all the years.
Yeah.
And I had to find that out. I had to figure out if this was a truth or if this was a lie to my soul. And it started to unravel in this beautiful way.
Yes. So let's talk about how you started to become aware enough to answer that question. Is this a lie? You share it that way. And it's great because it simplifies the process a little bit for us to go, okay, like how can I start asking myself that question? So how did that come into view for you? I mean, pain usually helps. Like being in enough pain will get us there. But we get comfortable, right?
I was about to say, for me, it didn't get there quick enough. So I'm writing this book. I told you about this yesterday with my assistant. And the first chapter is called The Burnt Offering. And I'm going to start there. Well, that's actually the second chapter. The first chapter is talking about scarcity. But The Burnt Offering is the second chapter. And a lot of times when you've grown up in scarcity and you're in survival, your body is so used to it, it knows nothing else. And anything outside of that is like, what are you doing? You know, we don't do that. We don't rest. We don't stop working. We work for 8 hours. We don't take a bathroom break. What are you talking about eating a balanced meal? We don't have time for that. So I started to pay attention to different people because I was working in an industry where I saw all walks of life. And it wasn't that one walk of life did it better than the other, because you can have lots of money and you can still be in scarcity. You can still be in lack. So I was watching and I said, gosh, that person seems to be happy. This person seems to not be happy. This person seems to be stressed. And I had all of the things that they were experiencing. And I was thinking, why do I have so much more? Or why do I have more than this person, but less than this person? So I would start to ask myself all of these questions. And I have degrees in psychology, so I understood the consciousness and the brain, but I wanted to know what was happening with me and how I thought. And if there is something that can shift in me, I will do everything within my power to shift it. So I would talk to people and I would ask them questions and I would say things like, what do you know about life that I don't know? Yeah, because if they seem to be doing it better than me, they must know something that I don't know. So I wasn't too proud to ask those questions. And some people wouldn't say anything. They would just kind of be hush-hush. And other people would talk. And I started to recognize a pattern in how I was thinking. And I was like, this is a pattern. And there are 8 billion plus people on this planet, more than that. Then there must be 8 billion plus new perspectives.
Wow.
So if I talk to a person at least once a day, I get to have at least 365 new perspectives. So that's how it started to unfold. But it was only a conversation. It wasn't a true embodiment. And this is the part that I think people really feel stuck with. They can say, oh, yes, I think positive. I listen to positive things. But they're still in this loop of thinking the same thoughts, doing the same thing, hoping for a different result. But they're stuck in that pattern. And that pattern could be of, I remember when I was in 4th grade, I got laughed at in the front of the class, and they're still thinking about that, and they're 40 years old.
Yes.
So they haven't moved their thoughts to a new timeline. So I started to learn how to move myself to a new timeline, and things shifted big time.
Okay, I love that. And it's funny, I just had a dream like this last night.
Nice.
Of this like old 4th grade trauma. Like it's literally 4th grade, not in my dream, but the trauma from that time was manifesting in this dream. And I'm just reliving it in my subconscious mind. And I'm aware of that. So I know that this is like a constant thing that's happening for us, regardless of, not regardless, but meaning we can upgrade in lots of levels, and then there's still some stuff. There's always some more growth to do. Yes. And this is so relatable is what I mean. It's like so many of us have, like there's a reason you said 4th grade.
Because it happened to me in 4th grade.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I think that's true for so many of us, just the stage of life that is happening at that time.
Yes.
And being curious, number one, is such a wonderful way to kick things off. To me, that is so related to the first phase of what I think are the stages of embodiment. So yes, awareness, curiosity, and then how do we continue across that bridge? How did you start to shift that timeline?
My big shift, I've had many of them, was, and I believe that everybody comes into your life for the thing, a specific time, a specific event. Some of the events that we experience are more traumatic than others. Some are a whisper. Whatever it is, when you are ready to hear it and to see it, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee it. So I love this story about a part of my embodiment and waking up. I was in New York City, and as I was sharing before, I could do all the things, and I recognized that I was in this wounded energy of showing up in the world like I can do everything, I'm strong, whatever, yet suffering in the background, falling apart, all the things. So I'm in New York City walking, and I worked in New York City many years. And I'm walking, and as I'm walking, this lady, we're on Broadway, this lady is walking towards me. And I'm in my head, frustrated, all the things falling apart, as I call that shit show university. And she's walking, yes, she's walking towards me. And Christina, it's like the crowd parted for her. And I was like, I stopped in my tracks. I'm like, what the heck? And it's not the what the heck, like sometimes when you see someone who has an energy and essence about them, if you're not ready for them, it can trigger you and you'll be like, who does she think she is? And you can go down this path. But I guess I was ready because I was thinking, wow, who is this person? And more than that, why can I feel her in my chest? Why do I feel her on my arms? Why do I feel her on my skin? Like, what the heck? She doesn't say a word to me. I don't say a word to her. We don't even make eye contact. Her energy was so strong that it wrapped me like silk. And I was thinking, who is this person? And why am I staring at her? She walks by. I stared at her. I watched her. Her fingers were beautiful. Her essence were pretty. The way that she flowed, it was like she was floating. And I'm thinking, why is she floating? And I'm over here like this. And she leaves. I go home. Time goes on. Weeks, months, whatever it is. And Christina, it hit me like a pound of bricks. It was like, boom. And I was like, oh. Because I'm really deep into, introspection and reflecting on myself. And when it hit me, I said, oh. Before I had the experience at 6 years old, the stress of that, I'm going to call it my superpower now. I was alive and fun and girly and all of the beautiful energies coming through me and playful and I lost that as a kid. But the lady, when she and I connected energetically, she woke up the little girl in me. And Christina, it was like a river of energy just poured out of me. It was like, and for once, I cried. I cried a lot because I didn't know this girl. I didn't know her. I only knew the guy, I'm going to say that masculine energy, who can just power through. And the girl in me, she came through with such beautiful energy and she was loving and mothering and just wrapped around me. And I felt like, oh, I'm home again. Like I feel teary now. Like I just want to just sob because so many of us, we shut this side of ourselves down because we don't feel safe to even go there. But when I allowed her to come up, it was like, where have you been? I do remember you. I remember you when I was little. I remember how we played. I remember how we did all these things. But I became tough. I became strong. I became a get it done girl. And that get it done girl, in one way, she was there for me. She saved me in so many ways. She made sure that I could pay things. She made sure that I could rise in certain ways. She made sure that I could connect in certain ways. She made sure I made the money. But when I brought up the feminine and I brought up the masculine, the divine energy in me as a woman became balanced and beautiful and loving and powerful and fierce and soft and tender and wild. It became all of these things that just wrapped around me and made me strong, but in a way that was true. It was no longer a lie. I showed up in all of my truth. I said it how I felt it. If I wanted to cry, I did. If I wanted to power through, I knew that I could, and I could come home and rest and put on a cute dress and feel soft again. I knew how to balance myself. And that is what I call boom, chicka boom energy. Because when you can tap into that, you're on a whole new trajectory. But when we don't understand the beautiful energy of our own divinity, and our chakras are blocked, whether it's the root chakra or the crown chakra or the heart chakra or the sacral, when we don't have all of those flowing in a way where divine energy can come through us and we can hear and feel and connect in a way that is powerful for our own soul's blueprint, we're missing. We're missing where the arrow is pointing us. So it's this beautiful journey, and I probably took the long road to tell you that, but it's a part of the story.
No, I love that. And the stories are where we find ourselves. So I appreciate you sharing the longer version because that allows us to sink in and ask questions of ourselves and see where we are in our own journey along that path and what we're ready for and what we might not be ready for yet. And everyone's in a different place. So thank you for sharing that. And I have to say, like, for you to be in that level of awareness, to meet that woman in that space, to let her in the way that you did, to allow her to kind of shock your system in that way is divine in itself. Like, you were like just needing that little push, that little
Yes.
something.
And that's so true because, 20 years ago, I couldn't have heard her, or I don't know if I would have seen her. Maybe I would have. I don't know. But I was on the edge of being frustrated long enough, and I was ready to graduate from Shit Show University.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I had had some degrees there, so I was ready to graduate. And when she came through, it was the perfect time for me to say, yes. And I call that the yes, girl, yes moment. Like, yes, girl, yes. I'm here for it now. And when I share this experience with other women, some women are saying, oh my gosh, you see me, I feel exposed. Some women are mad with me for saying it out loud. Some women are saying, finally, someone gets what's happening with me. So we're in different stages of this process. But once you open yourself up to the awareness, you can't unsee what you see. And it's a beautiful journey.
Yeah. And I love that you let her in, that you didn't try to push that away. And it really allowed for that shift to kind of unfold. And I mean, the bubbling up that you shared and the emotions, that's such a great release of, to me, it feels like tightness often. Like, I don't realize how tight I hold my body throughout the day. I try to be conscious of it. But as we're doing and doing and doing, like so many of us are, there's a tightness. And it's like remembering to be in the softness. Like, truly, it is that physical sometimes. Like, are we holding tight or are we releasing? And like, the emotions can help us. I mean, it's just part of the release, part of the cleanse, if you will, too, and letting go and part of the flow. So I know you work with women on stepping into this energy and coming into the awareness and coming into the embodiment in the way that you just shared happened for you in your life. Now you're doing coaching. You do divine coaching, divine business coaching. You talk about this, like, redefining luxury, which those words just sound so attractive to me. Like, it's like, what does that mean? One, I want to know how you help women through kind of what you went through. And how did you shift into that? When were you like, all right, I need to start sharing this and coaching and moving into helping other women do what I did?
Once I shifted, and at first, when you're shifting out of that heavy duty pushing energy, coming back home to that softness of being balanced as a woman and powerful, I had to rearrange my thinking. I had to shift my brain so that I could understand that this is how we're moving forward. Because when you're in this energy for so long of the old, the new, there's not enough neural pathways to hold the new energy. So when I shifted myself, I recognized, oh, this really feels luxurious. This is an energy that it feels worth millions. It's not this breadcrumbing, chasing, heavy-duty pushing energy. It's soft and it's connected. It feels like there's silk wrapped around you. And it's the same energy that I felt in the woman when I saw her. Like, ooh, what is this? So I had to soften that edge of me. So in the beginning, I had this really powerful energy talking, but I had to soften myself to connect to it. And what I recognize, Christina, there's not many times we have to be in the strong, powerful energy. Most of our day can be receiving. And receiving could be smelling this beautiful candle, seeing the flickering flames as we were talking, really embodying the scent of the room. But when we're in pushing energy, we don't get to slow down enough to receive. We're only in doing energy. So when I really tapped into that softness of myself, I was like, ooh, this feels delicious. This feels yummy, like this dessert that I didn't know I needed. And I didn't know that I was craving. So from there, I created, I don't want to call it a system because every woman is different, but I created these pillars, and it's called femcation. And femcation is 3 pillars. A lot of times we women, we don't slow down enough to really embody the essence, the energy of what is trying to come through. Because we don't slow down to embody it, we don't have enough space for it to come through. What I recognized when I was really in that hustle energy, I was so tight in looping patterns, the same thoughts being processed. How many times can you think about what happened to you when you were in 7th grade? How many times can you think about what happened to you when you dated the guy? How many times can you think about what happened? And it was filled with that. 10 years later, 15 years later, why are we still thinking about the same things? So in order to embody something new, you got to open up space. So I had to learn first how to go out to come back in. And that was this beautiful process because I had to leave myself and then hover over myself and say, what are you spending your time thinking about? Like you say you want these things, but you're over here thinking about that nonstop. So once I cleared out that energy, I had this beautiful energy that was soft and it felt like home and sweet. And it was like honey dripping through my system. So once that happened, I was in a whole different timeline of events. So I teach women from this honeyed place, this place of luxurious energy, how to jump timelines so that they can get out of the time when they got fired and they were embarrassed about it, or the time that, they went bankrupt and they didn't know how to start again, whatever it is. I help them to jump that timeline so that they can say, oh, this space is clean. I'm not taking all of this stuff with me. But not only are they not taking all the stuff with them, when I create space for them, they're able to take those old experiences, trust themselves again, and see that thing, those old loops, as now golden information. Because if you can take it and move yourself in a new timeline and say, oh, that's why I didn't trust myself to be more feminine. I remember when I was 12 years old and I got my period and I didn't feel safe because I thought someone was going to laugh that I had my period. But you're now 46. So I help them to process that and say, yeah, but I'm 46 now. And I'm alive and I'm beautiful and all of those beautiful things. And when a woman can build on a foundation that is feminine and having a masculine container to hold her, because the problem with the feminine all the time, if you can't balance it, is the feminine is just wild. She's just doing all kinds of things. You can't control her at all. But when you can balance the feminine and have the masculine container inside of you, then you can say, oh yeah, I can handle that. So I create this luxurious experience where a woman can understand that her pleasure is her power. The more you play, you have pleasure, and you are opening up more space for something new. Christina, it's so beautiful because you're now walking the walk of your truest life. And to me, that's a win for humanity.
Oh,
So it's beautiful.
absolutely. Yeah. That sounds like such a beautiful releasing. So much baggage that we carry around with ourselves. And I find that a lot of this goes into this category of like shame and worth. Do you find that that's connected in the way that I'm making that connection with the idea of luxury and finding that energy? Do you feel that it's connected to self-worth and shame, perhaps?
Yes. So the shame, the self-worth, the self-doubt, the self-trust, the worthiness factor is all intertwined. And it's intertwined in our resources, our health, our money, our love, our relationships. It's all intertwined. And I help women to untangle the giant knot. The knot could be the size of a body, the size of a living room. It could be so large that you just turn it into the snowball effect of knots on top of knots on top of knots. So I help them to loosen and untie each knot. And each one is a story. And that story is really energy. And that energy is just in your energetic field. So I help them to organize what's true and what's not true. Because what's not true is clouding up the beauty of what's true. So if you were terrible with your money, and I put terrible in quotes, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be great with money in 5 minutes. We take, as individuals, we take the past, we do copy and paste in the new moment. Every moment is a new moment for a new reality. But we don't allow that because we just keep copying and pasting the old into the new, the old into the new, the old into the new. And we're like, we're not changing. Well, we're not. Because that same information is being copied and pasting. What if you didn't copy and paste anything in this second? Allow it to be fresh and new and clean. And then the next second, you tag on to that. And you don't put anything in that. And then the next 5 minutes, you tag on to that. The next thing you know, you have a new reality. When you do that, life becomes juicy because you have space for something new. So that's what I teach, and it's wonderful. It's so beautiful.
Thank you for that. That is a wonderful way to describe that unfolding and that untangling and that possibility that's always, always available. It's always there. I would love to know what you would say as one step for someone who's listening and is on that brink like you were when the lady floated by in New York City and they're just ready for that moment to kind of push over into the next shift. How can they get there?
There's so many beautiful ways. Number one, drop down in your body. Get out of your head. Drop down in your body and connect with your gut, your intuition. Connect with your heart. What are you feeling? Those are ways to connect with yourself. I personally, when I'm working with women, I say certain things that will trigger a response. Because sometimes when you are copying and pasting the old into the new, there's no space for anything else. So I almost have to, at times, almost cause a little bit of a meltdown for you to say, I cried finally after 9 years. And then when you cry, you have new space for something else. And how I know about that is because I was one of the women who didn't cry, who didn't show the vulnerability. So I help them to feel into their bodies. We're afraid to feel as women because it's going to remind us of 4th grade Eva, of when she stood in front of the class and she was terrified. So that feeling of being terrified is kind of locked into our systems. And I'm like, you got to go there and then let it go. So that's one thing that you can do.
Yeah, that's powerful. Quick last question, and then we'll get into how to connect with you. But do you find people being afraid of their own power through this process?
I was afraid of my power. I thought I was powerful based on what the world said, based on what my paycheck said, based on my degrees. I thought I was powerful. But when I tapped into my own divinity, my own connection to everything. That's power. And I was afraid of it in the beginning. I was like, I felt like a rocket ship with fuel. What do I do with all this power? And because I allowed myself to process my emotions, to feel. But here's the difference when you do step into this power. When you feel, you can't just constrict and then be stuck. You got to alchemize those feelings to something else. So when I was able to alchemize it and recognize that, oh, if that thing happens again, I can handle it. I don't feel like I'm going to fall apart, or I don't feel like I'm going to cry for 17 days. I can feel, and I did that at one time. I was crying so much, I was crying for the years that I didn't cry.
Yes.
One time I cried so much, I was laughing and crying. I was like, are these going to stop? It was like, coming out. So the key is to alchemize every emotion that you're feeling and not getting stuck there. Because the problem is the energy gets stuck in the body, and then you get breast cancer, your stomach starts hurting, your womb is hurting, you have problems with your cycles. All of these things starts to happen. And another thing that a person can do when they feel like they're stuck, I do a lot of movement, shaking it out of their bodies. If you watch an animal, when an animal gets shocked by something, it shakes the body and then it moves on. We don't shake our bodies. We just go, I remember when you did that to me in 1979 and 838, and I'm going to keep talking to you about that forever.
Right.
We never shake it out. We never process it. We never understand. And then we are in a cycle, and then that's what I call shit show university.
Yes. Amen. That's so good, though. We've got to connect the body with the mind, with process the emotions. There's also like our intuitive body, our emotional body, our physical body, like our subconscious, like all of these things are connected, and a lot of it we disregard. So that's a great way to bring people back, is coming back to their body. Okay. All of this connection, how can we connect with you?
They can connect with me. They can send me an email at love@embodimentisEverything.com, or they go straight to the website and they go to embodimentisEverything.com. Right now, I have something that's called Richly Adorn, the Be With Me session, and it's 1 hour. And I also have many packages, but what I'm working with now is a 1 year, 12-month package where it's called Ultra Refine, where we go deep, and we really go deep with miracles and magic, and we bring all of this energy to the forefront and we move it. So that's an option. They can do a 12-month session with me or a 1 hour. And they're both this beautiful opportunity to get to know themselves, and I get to be a mirror for them, helping them on their journey so that they can see how to graduate from the university that I spoke about and to move forward in a way that is luxurious and yummy and alive and powerful. All of them. So that's how.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing your journey, sharing how you help women work with themselves in this way. It really does have a ripple effect. So thank you, Eva.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure for me to help a person. I can give from my overflow now. Before I was giving from depletion, I'm at a place now where I can give from my overflow and really hold sacred space for a person. And it's a blessing for me and a blessing for them. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to the Boss Goddess podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you're inspired and ready to take action on bringing your passion to life with podcasting, then be sure to get my free Activate Your Passion with Podcasting blueprint at boss-goddess.co/activate to get started. That link is also in the show notes, but here it is again, boss-goddess.co/activate. And I'll see you on the inside.